This is the bad doll. This is not good. I don't know who decided that you needed to look like Princess Leia. Like, this is not good. This is not good at all. Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be ranking every single Bratzillaz doll that was released. Now, I'm not in my bedroom at the moment because I'm actually dog sitting for my best friend, and I had a little bit of free time and thought, why not make a video? Why not spend a really long time rambling about my favourite doll line, ranking them, getting into detail with their outfits, the details, all that jazz. So, just a couple of rules before we start. I'm going to rank everything based on the design more than the quality. I'm not going to bring like hair fibre into things, the quality of fabrics, things like that. It's mainly just going to be the designs. I will talk a little bit in detail about the designs themselves, and I may talk about like what could be better and stuff like that, but it's mainly just going to be about what we were presented with. And yeah, so I'm excited to talk about this because if you watch my channel, you know I'm obsessed with Bratzillaz. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking. So before we start, I'm just going to explain the tier list really quickly. I've tried to keep this as simple as possible. So S is the best, amazing, flawless, can't really critique it at all. A is like really, really good, like amazing, but there are some bits and pieces that I think could have been better. B is like, it's okay. It's not offensive, but it's not groundbreaking. C is like meh, this is like not interesting or leaning towards bad. And then D is just like outright bad, like not good, terrible doll, awfully designed. So with that out of the way, let's get started on the tier list, and we're going to start with the first wave, Cloetta. So I really like the way that the designers tried to portray her power through her outfit, and specifically her power is to change things. So they've given her this like contrasting like half black, half pink dress, boots. Her hair is like a split dye with like black, pink and white in it. And I think that's a really interesting idea, but I think that the colours really do the heavy lifting in this. I don't actually think the pieces are very nice. I think the boots are awful, and I don't like the dress. I don't like the plastic like cage that they put over her, and I think this could have been a lot better. I think it's really cool that they made her eyes different colours. The heterochromia looks so good, but I just don't think this is taking it where it needs to be. I think this is quite a weak doll and probably my least favourite of the first wave. So I would say it's not good. I wouldn't say it's awful though. I think that there is some good in this, and I think the colours do help, as I said. So I'm going to put her in C. And now next up is Jade, and her power is to like heal a broken heart. And I really like this doll. I really like how the designers kind of tried to infuse that into her design and her outfit. And what I mean by that is I feel like, I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like what they've done is make her look kind of like a nurse. There is, to me, this like aspect of, she looks like a nurse, like an old time nurse, obviously not what they are nowadays. But I really love how she has this white dress with these mesh black sleeves, this like little mesh black peplum. I love the colours, the red, white, black really gives me like a medical, like nurse kind of vibe as well. Her little hat does too. And what I really like about this is, I don't know once again if this is just me, but I really like her like mesh her mesh blindfold, because I feel like this is like leaning into the phrase love is blind, and I really think that's such a cool detail. I'm also glad that it's mesh because you can still see the inset eyes, and I really like this doll. I don't necessarily think that the knee pads, I'm not sure why they're there, but you know what, it's an extra a little piece, a little detail, so I'll take it. But I wouldn't necessarily say this doll completely blows me away. So what I'm going to do is put her in A. I think it's a really strong doll, but it's not mind-blowing. So next up we have Morgana, and her power is to fly. And I think it's very interesting that the girl with the power to fly is wearing a skirt, so hopefully she's got some shorts on underneath there. But so I really like this doll as well. She is probably my favorite of the first wave. I think I'm biased because I really like the color blue, but I really like the way that they've lent into this like steampunk vibe with Morgana. She has big goggles, her top, the puffy sleeves, things like that. It's really reminiscent of like what you'd see people dress up in cosplay and just the steampunk aesthetic of. So I really like that. And I really like that her skirt, I'd say of them all, she kind of leans more into like a school uniform, at least to me. I think her pleated skirt really kind of speaks to that. And yeah, I think this is a really strong design. I think there are some places where I would have liked to have seen more. Specifically, like if you've seen the web show, she has these like knee-high or thigh-high, I think they're grey socks, and I think they look really, really cool. So I would have liked to have seen them on this doll. But aside from that, I think it's a really strong doll. I love the fact that her red hair really pops against the blue and the copper colours that are used throughout this design. So I'm going to put her in A. I think she's a really strong doll. So next up is Sasha Bella, and her power is to speak to animals. And I think the way they've tried to portray that in this doll is, I wouldn't say it's the worst thing. I think the first thing you really go for when you think about like speaking to animals and is just animal prints and furs, and it's not the worst. I would say that I actually do really like the colour scheme of Sasha Bella, and I actually want this doll, which I can't say for every single doll in this first wave, but I really love the light pinks with the lime green and the black. I think the colours go really well together to me, and I wouldn't say she's the strongest. I really like the cat's like inset eyes that she has as well, because they feed into that lime green. And I will say I do like this doll, but probably not as much as the others. Now, I will say that we're gonna see throughout this whole ranking that I think Sasha Bella has a very odd array of dolls. They're either really good or they're awful. Now with this one, I was originally going to put it in A, but now that I've thought about it and spoken about it, I think I like it less than the other ones, so I'm going to put her in B. She's still a good doll. Yeah, am I going to put her in B? Yeah, I'm going to put her in B. She is still a good doll, but she's just not as strong as the other ones in this line. So now we're moving on to Yasmina, and I love this doll. I think it's really cool that they gave her pants. I think that the colour scheme is really, really good. I don't necessarily know if I feel like the colour of gold of the pants works the best. I think maybe if it was a bit darker, it would work better. But I really love the fact that they've given her trousers rather than a skirt. And I love purple, it's one of my favourite colours. And I just think she looks great. I love the fact she comes with a little spyglass because she can look into the future. I love her hair. There is so much about this doll. As I said, her power is to look into the future, but apart from the spyglass, I don't necessarily know how that is communicated by the outfit. I mean, fashion-wise, I would say I really like this doll. I would say there are some pieces that I would change, specifically the colours of the trouser, but I do really like this doll. I'm going to put her in A. So next up we have Ileana Honesty, and we're on to the Back to Magic line. And her power is basically she makes you tell the truth. And I don't know how you would be able to communicate that with an outfit, but I really, really love this doll. I think she's so strong, and I really want to get her. I think the color scheme is really nice, these different pinks with these golds. I love her hair. I think she's amazing. I can't necessarily comment on the authenticity of like the cultural aspects of her doll. That's for other people to discuss, not me, but I do really, really like this doll. I think she's gorgeous. I love her hairstyle. I think she's a really strong doll, and I'm going to put her in A. I think she's a great doll. I think there is a little bit of room for improvement, but still a strong choice. So next up is Victoria Antique, and her power is to like make old things new. So I guess she just kind of like restores things with her magic, and I am obsessed with this doll. I actually own this doll. I have her in box purely because I found, I'm gonna say, a good deal for her, and it feels like a shame to get her out of the box when she's been in there for so long. But anyway, that's not the point. Talking specifically about the design, I am obsessed with her. I think she is gorgeous. I love her inset eyes. I love these like scales that she has across the skin on her eyes. Her hairstyle is so interesting, and I just love so much about this. I love this like asymmetric like sleeve moment. I love how like the snake skin is brought across the like corset around her, and then the snakes on her boots I think is so cool. I feel like, well, I don't really know how, once again, you would be able to portray being able to make old things new through clothes. I mean, there could be a way that you could do that, and I feel like her design kind of speaks more to something to do with snakes. Like she could tame snakes, maybe she could speak to animals as well, like Sacha Bella. But apart from that, I love the color scheme. I love the leaves on the top. I love this doll so much. I think she is one of the strongest. So with that said, I wouldn't change anything about this doll at all. I think she's amazing, and I'm gonna put her in S. So moving on, in the Back to Magic line, we have Jade. I do like this doll quite a lot. I think that they've managed to give her something that's very different to her core doll while still keeping in line with her color scheme. And I love the fashion. This line is probably my favorite. I think there's this like clueless, like chic school, like kind of theme with the other characters. I don't necessarily think that Ileana and Victoria really like lean into the design aesthetic as the other three girls, but I really like this Jade. I love her beret. I love her socks. I think she's really pretty. So I am going to put her in, I'm gonna put her in A. I think she's a strong doll. And now Megana, I own this doll. I love this doll. I think it's very similar to Jade. I can't really say many bad things about this doll. I love the beret. I love the print of the dress. I just think that this is, I mean, I suppose maybe the socks are a bit of an odd tone of blue, but I still think it works. And I really like this doll. And I also love the fact that she comes with nylon hair, but that's not being included in the ranking. So I'm gonna put her also in A. So next up is Sacha Bella, and I really love this doll a lot. I think this is probably her best doll. I love the yellows and the lime greens and the print of the fabric on the top. I love the fact her hair is pulled up and away, and she's got this really like pointy bang moment. I just love this doll. I think she is amazing. I just don't really know how to articulate it better than just saying that I really like it. The fur works in this design, in my opinion. I really love this like fur gilet and the bag, and I think she's a really strong doll, and I wouldn't change anything about her. So yeah, this is Sacha Bella's strongest doll in my opinion, and I'm going to put her in S. Love the color scheme, love the hair. I think she's really good. So now we're on to the first wave of budget dolls, and we're on to Cloetta. Maybe this is biased, maybe I am delusional, but I think in comparison to all of her other dolls, I think this is a really strong doll, which is wild because it's a budget line. I think that the designs for this line are a bit more juvenile and they're a lot less really witchy than the other lines, but I really like this doll. I think that the black and pink works really well. I like the fact that in this doll, they specifically made it half black, half pink and just left the white out. I think it's more dramatic. I really love this, like, I don't know what to call it. Not a shawl, but like a little cropped like shawl jacket, let's call it. I am not a fan of all of the arrows, as in like that are referencing her power and being able to change things and whatever. And as I said, I think the designs for this line are a bit more juvenile. But I do really like it. I would buy it if she wasn't super expensive, so I'm going to put her in A for now. Next up is the Budget Jade. I really like this doll. Once again, I love the shapes that this doll, the design of the outfit, kind of like, I love the shawl thing, I love the puffed out skirt. I think she's very strong. I really like it. I think this is a great doll. I would buy her once again if she wasn't expensive. So I am going to put her in A as well. Next up is Megana, and I am not sure how I feel about this. Well, no, I do know how I feel about this doll. I like it. It's okay. It's not the most fantastic thing ever. I'm not sure how I feel actually about this like mesh thing that's like sticking out. Her dress is very basic. This light blue dress with these wings all over. I would say it's not my favorite. I would say it doesn't offend me though, so I am going to put her in B. So next up is Sasha Bella's budget doll. I feel sorry for Sasha Bella because they just throw in fur whenever they can. Like, I feel like every doll has some sort of fur on for her, and it's like, you don't need to hammer it home that much. Maybe you could have just given her like a fur bracelet, or you could have just left the fur completely at home, because this idea of this, like, I mean, I suppose a fur coat would be really cool, but this like fur cape is not for me. No, I don't like this doll. I don't think it's... Ooh, I'm struggling now because I don't hate it. I don't think it's good, but I don't hate it. I'm gonna put her in C. I think there are some redeeming qualities. I think the color scheme is nice. I don't mind the dress. I like the boots, but apart from that, it's more of a miss than it is a hit, so she's gonna go in C. Next up is Yasmina, and I actually own this doll, and I actually really like this doll. I like the design. I love the pants. I love the little cape that she has. I just think she's very simple, but still fashionable, and still, it's giving kind of like holiday beach wear to me in a way. Maybe it's not a kaftan, but it's kind of giving some sort of like rich woman who is just like having a nice time at the beach, having a couple of drinks, whatever. So I like this doll. I own this doll, and I'm gonna put her in. I'm gonna put her in A. I think she's a good doll. Now, this Jade, I don't know what they were doing, what they thought they were doing with this doll. I don't think it's very good. I hate this dress. I hate the gold with the fur skirts. I don't like it. I like the idea of that they've put red at the front of her hair and white at the back, but apart from that, I don't like this doll, and I'm going to put her in D. So then this is the second budget Megana, and this feels even more juvenile than the other one. And I'm not like mad at it. It doesn't really inspire a huge amount of like joy from me, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's horrific. I don't think it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. You know what? I don't think it's terrible, so I'm gonna put her in B. So then next up, we have the OG Vampire Witch, Vampirina. I love this doll. This doll is just so good. I love this kind of like, I think vampires have like this, they're kind of synonymous in some ways to like olden times, Victorian kind of era. And I love the fact that they've referenced that with this dress. There's like this like cage skirt with like netting, and then this lovely like red cape that she's wearing. It's very classic vampire. I love her hair. I love the black with the blonde and the streak of red. Her eyes are stunning, and her power is to be able to see in the dark, and I think her eyes kind of like demonstrate that. I mean, it's not exactly an exciting power, but yeah, I love this doll. I love her shade of blue skin. I love, I'm obsessed with the idea of vampires having blue skin. I don't know what it is, and I don't know where it came from, but I love it. Maybe it's because, I mean, I'm a gamer as well, and I like dark elves, so maybe that's I don't know if that's where I've put those two things together, but I just love this idea of vampires having blue skin, and I just think that her design is incredible. I love her socks. I love the pops of red throughout this. I just think they're amazing. Like the pops of red really, I don't know if it was intentional, but the pops of red really kind of give that like blood vampire kind of like, they just harken back to like this idea of a vampire drinking blood. Love her, love her, love her, love her. So she is going in S, where she deserves. Next up, we are powering through with Magic Night Out and Cloetta. What have they done to you, girl? I do not know who chose this. This dress is unhinged. Her hairstyle is unhinged. I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm looking at. This like drop waist dress with random mesh that is asymmetric. I don't know who hurt you, Cloetta, or I don't know who decided that you needed to look like Princess Leia. Girl, the worst part about this as well is that she's got saran hair and it's wasted on this. Anyway, with all that said, this is the bad doll. This is not good. I am putting her in D. Hell no. Now we're on to Jade. I think this is a great doll. I love the fact they've led into the pink. I think is this the first doll of hers that has pink? I think so. Yeah, it is, and I really like the fact that they've done that. I love her little pink bob. I think she looks so cute. I think that it's different enough and that the designers didn't get stuck in the idea of she has to be red, white, and black. So I love this. I love the mesh over the pink dress. I love the socks. I love the shoes. I love her eyes. This is a really strong doll, so I'm gonna put her in S. Next up is Megana. I've actually owned this doll and ended up not keeping it. That's not to say that I don't love the idea of this outfit. I really love the idea of this like blue like a turtleneck coat. I don't know if that's right, with this ruff. The idea that she has a dress on underneath it I think is really nice, and that she's got this long like coat train that she can just like flick around, and I think it's a really interesting idea. I really like this doll. Design wise, I like this doll. The actual fabric quality and stuff like that is not good, but she has saran, so that's a plus. But really, talking about design, I am going to, I really like the design though, that's the thing. I'm not sure if I'm being clouded by like the fact that I've had her, but the design is great. This coat that has a green dress underneath it is what I'm seeing, and I think it is gorgeous. So I'm gonna overwrite me trying to put this lower. I'm gonna put it in an A because I think the design itself is really good. Now, once again, I think this is a banger. This is Sacha Bella's Magic Night Out doll. I love it, and I think that they've managed to make the fur work here, and it doesn't look tacky. It looks really cool. I think this idea that she's got this like mini dress with like a little bit of fur at the bottom, and then she's wearing this like cropped fur jacket is amazing. Speaking of which, here is a little doggy that I'm looking after. Anyway, so I think she's really good. I think this is a great doll. And I just love the black, white, and then the pops of lime green. So the colour scheme is great. I think it's great. I think she looks amazing. I love her hair. She's also going in A. So next up is Yasmina. Now we're going to go on a journey with this doll. I want to really like this doll. I love the colour scheme and I love her hair. I'm not sure if this is just me. I'm not sure if the designers did this intentionally, but when I first saw like the advert and pictures of this doll, I thought she was wearing a hood. I thought that her hair was like the lights, the bangs were like this like lavender purple, and I thought she was wearing like this like really dramatic like dark purple hood, and I was like, ooh, that's really cool that they've made like a like Magic Night Out, like Night Out doll have this like hood. I don't know how many more times can I say hood, but and I loved it. And then I realized it was her hair, and then I was like, oh, actually that is quite interesting because it gives the illusion that she's wearing a hood. I don't know if that's just me, but then the top half of her dress with this like mesh top and this nice like lavender corset, love, I think it looks great. And then you get to the bottom of the outfit and it's like this bubble skirt that looks like, for a lack of a better description, it looks like brains, and I don't like it. And then for some reason she's just got this gold and then black mesh sticking out from underneath it. And I want to like this doll because I really like the hair and I love the face and I love the top half. I love the top half of this doll. The bottom half is not good. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put her in C. I think that there is a lot of potential here. There's some untapped potential with this doll. But I think the bottom half, specifically that skirt, really takes me out, and it takes me away from it being higher up. So then next up, we have Fiona Fins, and her power is to change the weather, and she's a mermaid, and I love this doll. I have this doll and I'm just, her eyes are stunning, her makeup is stunning, and I really like the fact that they made this line have like glow-in-the-dark skin. I don't necessarily know whether or not the whole line needed to be like that, but her specifically, the colour scheme that they chose, I love. There's like this aspect, and like, come on a journey with me with this doll. There's almost this like deep under the sea like aspect to Fiona. Her skin is almost like reminiscent of, and this is gross and I'm sorry to say this, but it's almost like reminiscent of like a rotten corpse in the sea, in the ocean, and I love that. It sounds really weird, but I do. I think it's really interesting to make a mermaid so pale, but also green. Like, it really brings this like idea of like algae and just deep under the sea and doesn't see sunlight a lot to the forefront, and I love that so much. I love her hair, I love the colour of her hair. This is one of my favourite colours. Around this kind of green is one of my favourite colours, which I've been saying a lot this whole video, but I think she's great. I also like the fact that her fins are also able to be used as a cape and can also dress up the outfit, because it is quite simple. And I just think that the design idea, obviously this is more of a beach line than it is actually a big glamorous line. So I think they've given her as much as she can. I think it's not super exciting, but I think in context to the actual line, I think it's great. It all comes together to represent this like fashionable mermaid from under the sea, and I love her. And because of that, I'm going to put her in S. So then moving on next, we go into Cloetta, and I do not like this doll at all. I think that she struggled the most. She's probably my least favorite out of all of them. So far, she's had one doll in A, and everything else has kind of like tanked. And I think this design tanked as well. I hate mixing gold and silver. I do not like it. I don't think this is successful at all. I don't mind the bathing suit, but apart from that, no. This is going in D. Now, Jade, I think is all right. I think making all the dolls have this skin tone is obviously just for the gimmick. I think it's a cool gimmick, I think it's a cool idea, but I think in some instances, I think it's just odd in some instances for me, to be completely honest. I'm gonna say that I do actually like this doll. I think that I'm gonna put her in B, just because I don't think she's awful. Whereas Megana, I've owned this doll and I did really like her, but I don't think this is a very strong doll at all. I don't think it's awful, I don't think it's horrific. So I'm going to put her in C. I just don't think there's much that I can really say about a lot of these dolls because they're a beach line, they're not super exciting. So yeah, I'm gonna put her in C. Then Sasha Bella, girl, I really wish they just, why couldn't they have just made it animal print? Why did it have to be fur? Like, this is not good. This is not good at all. I can't believe they made this design decision that her bikini was going to be made of fur. I just, like, suspended disbelief. Like, okay, it's a swimsuit made of fur. I just don't think it looks good at all. I think this looks awful, and I am going to put her in D, unfortunately. Now, Yasmina, I don't know what it is about this doll. I really like this doll. I think this is actually quite a strong design, and maybe it's because it's purple. I don't know, maybe the purple contrasting with this like really pale green skin tone. And I love the fact she has a little spyglass as well. I think that's really cute. I am gonna put her in, right, I'm not gonna jump the gun. I was gonna put her in A for a second, but I'm gonna put her in B. And now we are on to the Switcher Witches, which I think are gonna be very difficult to rank. I've basically put these together how they were released. The 2-packs are gonna stay together because they're a mix and match vibe. So I'm not gonna split them apart because they don't come with specific outfits. They're meant to mix and match. So I'm gonna put them together and keep them in their pairs. So with that said, I'm gonna be more picky and more specific with this. The first single pack Switcher Witch, I don't think she's awful. I just don't think this design resonates with me. I think the idea of the fashion with this cropped top and these two-tone pants works. I'm not a huge fan of the wig. I have had this doll and I ended up getting rid of her just because she's just not that exciting, and I don't think there's enough drama in. I know there's this massive cape, but I'm gonna put her in C. I feel firm with that. Now the 2-pack I think is really good. I've actually done a review on this set and I really love them. I think they're really wild and out there, and I just love this set. So this like clown, harlequin, the color scheme, the pastel like green and pink with this really dramatic like black and white. I love it. I really love this set. So I'm gonna put them in A. They're going in A. So next up is, I think is much more successful as a single pack for the Switcher Witch line. And I do like this doll and I would like to get this doll. So yeah, I like her color scheme. I think her pieces, they kind of like steer a little bit further away from the idea of a witch, and she doesn't come with a cape. Is this the only doll that doesn't come with a cape? Is this literally the only Bratzillaz that doesn't come with a cape? Anyway, that's beside the point. I like this doll. I think she's very simple, but I think it works. So I'm gonna put her in B. There we go. Now this second wave of Switcher Witch, I've had these dolls as well, and I like the faces. I just don't like the fashion at all. I think the color scheme is interesting, but yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this, so I'm going to, it's not offensive and it's not awful, so I'm gonna put it in C. There are some redeeming qualities about this. I do think the faces are really good. I really like the wigs. There are some nice pieces in that set, so I'm gonna put it in C. So now it's time to move on to the final line of Bratzillaz, and all I can say is I love this entire line. I think the prototypes are better, but I think what we got was pretty good. Now, Angelica was the first of the Witchy princesses that I got, and I got her for a really good deal. That's beside the point, but I really like her. I think that of the three, I feel like my ranking of the Witchy princesses is kind of like always moving, because I really gravitated to Angelica first, and I really like her dress. What I love about the design scheme of these, so Angelica's power is she can control sound, so she can like make things mute and unmute and louder and quieter and all that, and that's not really demonstrated, to be honest, in her outfit, but that's okay. So I really like this outfit, and I really like the collection as a whole, just because what they've tried to do is context. The three Witchy princesses are from a very, very long time ago, and they were trapped inside a book. So what they've done is they've given them all this idea of like almost like being moth-eaten and old and dusty, and that's kind of portrayed through the lace on her dress, and I think it looks great. I love the dress. I love the little bits of mesh which stick out from underneath, and it really does lean into this like idea of like old-fashioned outfits, old-fashioned fashion that has like been eaten away at moths, and there's just kind of like bits and pieces of like almost like the undergarments that are sticking out a little bit, like not in like a bad way, but like the fabric has been eaten away at, and I love it. And I love their bird cages. They are so camp. So with Angelica, I'm gonna put her an A. And now Carolina. So Carolina's power is to see into the past, which I think is a very underrated idea of a power. I feel like everyone would be like, oh, what's the point in looking in the past? Well, you've lost something, let's look in the past and have a little look where you put it. Anyway, that's beside the point. So I really like this doll as well. I think once again, going on from what I said about Angelica, I really like this idea of like things being moth-eaten, the mesh really being like fabric that's been eaten away, the bustle on the back of her dress also having like tears and rips, and like you can see fabric underneath it. I love this doll as well. I just think this is a great line. I love this line. So I think the weakest part of her is the like cape that she comes with, but I also love the little like spyglass. I love that idea that Yasmina needs to look into her spyglass to look into the future, and Carolina needs to look into her spyglass to look into the past. I love this doll. I think she's great. She's on display in my room at the moment, so she's also going an A. And then finally, Sienna Karma, and her power is to regulate people's emotions. So she can calm people down. I'm going to assume she can make people angry. She can just basically play with people's emotions. Hopefully not in a manipulative way, but anyway. So I also really like this doll. I love this color. This kind of, I say it all the time, but this kind of like green, seafoam green kind of vibe is really, really amazing to me. So she has a gold crown, a gold birdcage instead. I'm going to assume maybe she's like the leader of the Witchy princesses, but I love her like long sleeves, her long black sleeves, her like black mesh cape, the green mesh which just hangs down from the bottom, and the patchwork design on her dress. I love it. I think this is a really successful line. I miss the prototypes. I wish the prototypes came to fruition, but yeah. So I think she's also gonna go in A. Now, they are my opinions of all the Bratzillaz dolls. You may disagree. I'm obsessed with this line. I'm probably biased. There may be things that you're gonna look at and be like, why did you choose that? But I really, really, really love these designs. I think for the most part, they are successful. And obviously, if only we lived in a world where these got more budget and the quality was a bit better and the hair quality was good. But I think all in all, we really got a strong line of dolls out of MGA, despite how low budget they had to be because they were struggling. And I still think There are so many, if you really look at these dolls, there are so many details and design elements that the designers really put a lot of passion into these dolls and really put a lot of thought into them. And for that, designers, I commend you. Thank you for creating such an amazing witchy line. I would love them to come back, but who knows? Maybe MJ will do a little collector release. That would be exciting. We can only keep our fingers crossed. So, with that said, that is my ranking. Let me know if you agree with it in the comments. Let me know who your favorite are. Who would you put in S? Are there some dolls that you're like, why did you put that up there? Why did you put that down there? But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.